Hello, everyone, and welcome to Arcturian Philosophy tonight. Wish me luck tomorrow as I go to something that's complete BS, something that my parents did, which made no sense, but that's okay. I know exactly how to handle a problem. Now, the topic, however, that we're going to be talking about is um, using people. This is something interesting. I watched Teal's video on this a long time ago. Basically, is it okay to use people or not? And what I'm going to tell you is that your instinctive answer, the first thing that you thought when asked the question, is it okay to use people or not? The first thing in your head that you thought of as the answer when you first heard that question was right. For several reasons. But, right for the purposes of saying right or wrong. We could say nothing is right or wrong because I wrote the book called Beyond Good and Evil when I was a person called Friedrich Nietzsche. Um, but for our purposes of life on this planet, for sustaining and propagating life of all kinds on the planet, no, it's not okay to use people. No, it's not. Now, what's interesting is you get this explained to you along the lines of a law of attraction, that the person kind of placed themselves there to be used, so then I should be using them, right? See, I fell into that mentality with my mother. And why is this relevant? Because tomorrow, with my stepfather was the one really who did it, but they filed a restraining order because I was wanting to get my possessions back from my house. Now, the entire place was overrun by reptilians, so whoever is inside of my mother is not actually my mother anymore. It's a different personality that is either controlling her or possessing her. But before all that, or before I was aware that something weird was going on, who did I watch? I watched Teal, and I watched her say, "Oh yes, it's fine to use people." So what idea do I get in my head? I think, okay, you've explained this along the law of attraction, or else I would immediately say, no, it's not okay to use people, like a Jewish usurer. um, there's a reason that we have a saying, Jewish usurer, bad, don't do it. Um, And I think to myself, well, my mother doesn't understand any of this. She doesn't want to understand any of it. I'm trying to tell it to her. So regardless of if she was doing something strange before or after the town was attacked, pretty much, um, or what plan she was in on, some sort of plot to do with me, but I don't know what quite it was. She was in on something, but regardless, what do I end up doing? I end up using my mom's credit card without too much of her permission. You know, she told me that I didn't have to worry about that kind of thing so much. But knowing her, I know her, and I know that she likes being told, "Hey, I'd like to buy this thing. Just so you know, it's gonna show up on the bill or something." Or, "Hey, is this okay to use?" That seems like a standard thing to do. What do I end up doing? Well, my mom's giving me the number. I mean, she's being a cold, total bitch. So it's okay to just perpetuate the negative energy and use her because I feel like, okay, she's imprisoning me and being a bitch. So it's okay to just, to get her back. Likewise, law of attraction, like that, to do that. One of the reasons Cryon likes me so much, this is one of the reasons that Cryon said when I was thinking about this, that he was around me for specific reasons, because I was one of the people who understood the concept of true altruism. This was something that I used to try and argue in psychology class, while everyone, in social psychology specifically, while everyone else would say, yeah, it makes sense, like the textbook would say that there was no true altruism, and I would say, no, that's got to be wrong because I'm an example of it. I would be walking down the street in San Francisco. Some homeless person might have needed some help. I've taken homeless people back with abscesses and drained them because I know how. And I know the hospitals treat them like crap. Because having gone through those sorts of things myself, I don't enjoy seeing other people suffer. Now that always tends to cause or used to at least. I don't think it will anymore. But in the past, that always used to actually harm me, or cause me some sort of grievance or otherwise. It would be a major inconvenience. It would be something that would drain me of resources. It would be harmful to me. Trying to help other people. This concept of altruism that is helping for the sake of helping. Not helping for the sake of, oh, I feel good because I did it, but helping because you know that that is what stands in that of light and love. It's an action that is pure within the light, is pure within light, the light-love dynamic. I guess that's the best way to say it, because Cryon keeps saying it's a light-love dynamic. The way everybody's separating it out in different ways is wrong. And think of it, guys, when you address different things. Sue Davy, when she sends me the postcard, says with light and love, right? You guys are doing that a lot, but he's like, you're not putting it together. You haven't. Hello, it's a polarity or a not polarity, but some sort of cyclic attractive force between the two of them, some sort of magnetism between the two things that nobody's putting together. I don't really know about that, but I know that the idea and thinking that kept me alive. So that's the only proof that I have, and the only proof that other people have is she's still alive. So maybe it's correct. I don't know. But whether or not to use somebody, your instinct immediately tells you no, it's not okay to just go use somebody. Okay. How can we say this? A different way. Let's with people that say they like to be used. Think of the program. Think of I'm thinking Tina Turner here. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to be used by you. Some of them want to abuse you. Some of them want to be abused. This is, and sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Okay. Okay, yeah, getting programmed into you. Oh, yeah, you're there to be used. See, because you're humans, right? And you're there for us, the other species, to use you. I don't think that that's the correct mode of thinking. So, well, let me continue with thinking in that mode with my mother. What do I end up doing? I end up spending a bunch of her money without her permission, getting different essential oils, getting different things that she gets that she doesn't actually overtly get mad about, but that now I know that she really was upset about that. But well, I would be telling her, you create your own reality. You're creating a scenario where obviously your daughter is going to want to act this way. And now, is that true? Yes, it's completely true. But the reaction that I had, while it leaves me where I am right now, what Cryon says is that, Krista, that's not the only way that you could have gotten to this place. There are so many different paths through time as we perceive it, as he says that no, there could have been a different mode of action, and I want you to figure that out. Okay, so let's figure that out. How could I have acted differently? Having my mom's credit card number, knowing that I had some permission to use it, but not told how much to spend on it. She didn't say how much. She didn't say there was a limit. And whenever I would ask her how much money do you have or anything like that, she would not tell me. And she would keep her money incredibly separate from mine. And would never say anything about how much cash she had, how much credits she had, or anything. And remember, she works for Chevron at Chevron's headquarters. So I realized, perhaps did she do something top secret or whatever? I don't know. But she certainly wouldn't share any of it with me. So it does make sense along the laws of attraction that that kind of acting, and also she had a very fearful mentality. She's always had a very fearful mentality. Would attract me. Also, she's always kind of been a doormat. She used to always act like a doormat. Now she acts kind of the same and kind of very different. And allow herself to get stepped on. So what does it make sense that, oh, I end up doing that and using up her money. But what would have been the better course of action? Let's think about this. Even though she would attempt to resist anything natural that I would want to do. She was the kind of woman who would do anything that because the doctor said so. She wouldn't believe anything I would say until a doctor would say it too. And well, according to Cryon, hey Mom, according to Cryon, I am actually going to become famous. So, famous in some capacity, at least. So you're whether or not that makes you proud, who knows? But let's think about this. The better mode of action. He says, Krista, you really got to think about this one, because I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to be talking about. I just said, "Oh, Cryon, will you tell me what to talk about?" I'm not really sure. And it's actually better if people can observe the process of determining new courses of action, such as me deciding what to do with the boy stealing my credit card, instead of getting really mad like an Indigo would in a town full of everyone trying to assassinate you. Like, imagine you're in a town, you're the only human left in a town full of a bunch of shape-shifted reptilians trying to assassinate you, or Yael trying to assassinate you, and you have to deal with that. And one of those kids steals your credit card because they're just, messing around and doesn't really mean any harm by it. Well, you have to decide what to do, and they're trying to poison your food and do everything they can do to you, and you have to walk around in the middle of it. So just like that, before it seemed like before the entire town seemed to be attacked, it appears, and the police even actually worded it that way. Shh. Oh, right over your head, right? And I'm thinking, yeah, over all of your heads, except for me, apparently. I was the only one who managed to hold out during the whole thing, apparently. What could I have done instead? I could have thought to myself, okay, using the laws of attraction and abundance, I don't need to use my mother as an avenue. Cryon was saying, you're going to get the answer, you're going to figure out the answer, because, see, so programmed, if you were thinking of that already, programmed people who came in as Indigos, Arcturians, and different star seeds, and were caught at the hospital, get so watched to such an extreme degree that the idea is, like with you, Teal, that you can't actually even leave. That, okay, your only avenue for money is your mother. How does that make sense when you're 26 years old and now I'm 27? How did that make any sense? My only avenue for money is my mother. I can attain abundance some other way, right? Because someone that age should be independent, right? Well, yeah, the aim of programming is to get you to forget that concept. So instead, Kron's saying, "Yay, you got one of the answers." He said, "This is one of the alternative answers, but there are lots of different alternatives for me having figured this out. I could have used the law of attraction to attract abundance to myself through a different avenue. I could have called up a bunch of people in Young Living and got together with them. I could have, well, let's see, with what else did I buy? I could have gone on a forum where people love crystals and tried to see if I could trade for different crystals. and I would have ended up with different things than what I have now. But let's see, ultimately, what's he saying? It's saying that's almost like, if you think of it as a universal equation, and where you are in a set point in time, the different paths you could have taken to get to where you are, it's almost like they balance itself out. The two sides of the equation balance each other out. Okay, so that's something that I know, but he's saying it's like two sides of an equation balancing each other out. So could I have apparently gotten to this state of consciousness, this type of state of consciousness, without using my mother? Yeah, apparently I could have, right? But because I was thinking, okay, no, this is not to like get mad at Teal or anything over any of this, but that was one video that did kind of screw up my thinking a little bit, where Cryon had to say, Krista, that's not right. That's not right. The instinctual thing that you keep thinking about, how that's not okay to use people, about how there is this inherent concept of rightness, of what stands in light. You understand that from your childhood, from the Bible. You understand that from Jesus. That's what's the correct thing. And most people, if asked, is it okay to use people? I don't think so. I don't think that's okay. But to make you think that it's okay, some of them want to use you, some of them want to get used by you. What I noticed is that in programming, the idea is to program us to believe that it is okay and within the universal scheme of oneness to use us as slaves, okay? This goes back to all of us as humans being used as slaves. This idea of it being okay to use someone propagates our own slavery, see? Through the law of attraction, saying, yes, it's okay to use somebody, because they placed themselves there to be used. Okay, so we the humans placed ourselves here to get used? Yeah, I agree. No. However many times we're going to say no because of the numerologists. I don't care. No. Does not work that way. So, when we drop that mode of thinking, this is almost like where we go into a space of complete nihilism, like how I used to be, like Nietzsche, go into a space of total nihilism, but then upgrading to our newer versions, which does include something that you would call almost a type of morality. But it's not like a morality, it's more like a code. More like a code of ethics, that which stands in light and love. You could say that all actions, when performed by the person, are all right. Cryon says this in Book 12. When you've been biased to think in a certain one-dimensional way, that's why you don't understand that everything that you do is right, because you created it. You don't understand that because you're thinking one-dimensionally. So that's a simple concept. If you create your own reality, that means that you created everything there. So that means if you go and steal from somebody, what we would call steal from somebody, that was right because you're creating the reality, therefore you're the master of it and everything you do is right. That's the idea. But does that create a profitable, a profitable and expansive reality? A reality that expands is the reality that we keep aiming for. The reality that's killing itself. That's why we're sending everybody in to say, hello, stop, whoa, you're gonna blow yourselves up, damn it, what? Jeez, guys, hold up. So, us switching courses to the reality where we don't blow each other up, and we figure out, oh, okay, this is what we need to figure out how to do. This is one book that Cryon said, get from the library. We gotta figure out how to incorporate things other than petroleum in our society. That was one thing I also saw in the Akashic Records the only time I was there. Charts similar to, I think, what Gray's would actually show, which is funny. And when one scatter plot that had petroleum as a point on there, and I was told that your use of petroleum is what's causing a lot of this problem. You've got to figure out how to stop using petroleum. And oh, my mom works for Chevron. And oh, I live right next to the headquarters of the oil company. Who knew that could be what I'm supposed to be possibly doing? Or that's one avenue that I could pursue. Which ironically my mom would call people like that eco-terrorists. And I would think to myself, oh my god, my mom isn't going to call me an eco-terrorist, is she? Because I'm definitely not a terrorist in any form or fashion. And so on the topic there of using people, no, it's not okay to use people, because then that means there's an opening for you to be used, if you want to think of it in just purely practical, atheistic type terms. It's not okay to use people, because say you use somebody and, get the best of them somehow and they don't know, or whatever. You use someone somehow. Then, because of the law of attraction, that states that somebody's going to come and be using you. This is almost like the golden rule as well. When Cryon finally said, okay, Krista, this is really easy. Think of the golden rule. Okay, seriously, think golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Okay, yeah, you got really pissed because a bunch of people were trying to outright assassinate you. That makes sense. That makes complete sense. But now that you've passed the brunt of that, and now that you realize that you have power, with the great power comes great responsibility. So, instead of going out now, instead of, like I told you, to go out and yell at them and tell them you're not afraid of them, now what I want you to do is love them. Now what I want you to do is treat them as you would be treated. So, even if there's a child being taught how to attempt to give you lung cancer, I want you to not yell back at the child. I want you to treat the child as you would treat your own child. Or I want you to treat the other person as you would have yourself be treated. And you will begin to see a change. You will begin to see a difference. People are going to start to act differently around you. They're going to think, oh wow, we remember that girl. She used to be a hot mess. That one. I mean, she wasn't even worth being alive. That girl wasn't even worth staying alive. She should have been, our sacrifice or whatever that we were gonna string up and like burn in my parents' backyard, apparently. Yeah, with a bow on the wood pile. And Wiccan-looking symbols like out of the Blair Witch Project hung up everywhere when I found it. Or when I discovered it when they weren't home and actually ran away. Finding a demonic symbol, a key pointed towards a white rock. And the white rock, see, that symbolized me. And a white rock, you get a new name on it when you become, one of this satanic type cult things. When you become sucked into it and a part of it, you're given a new name on a white rock or something, is the symbolism, is what I learned. So, despite all of this, Cryon says, yes, it's real. You saw it. They've been trying to get you to forget what you saw, but they're failing. You remember everything from that other dimension that you were on. You remember all of it. You remember also the whole imprisonment. They would try to get me to forget different things. It completely would not work. I would not remember really when I would go to sleep finally. When I would finally sleep, I wouldn't remember what was going on. But I would get told that's for your protection. If you were seeing what was going on, it would really be disturbing to you. And the point is that we keep you very much in your body as much as we can. They're doing stuff to you out of body, basically, when you're asleep. Just shrug it off. Just like, no, oh, I slept fine, so that's not real. Not my reality. Whatever that they told me, have that kind of mentality. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Don't, it's okay. Don't care about it. And fortunately, that mentality did keep me going. So don't use people. It's not a good idea. Okay, it means that then you're opening yourself right then for someone else to use you. What does that do? It causes you some sort of pain or discomfort or some sort of negative emotion, something unwanted. So, creating the unwanted, why do that? We want to create what is wanted, not that which is unwanted. And so, I will conclude this episode of Arcturian philosophy and figure out something else also interesting to talk about. Blessings to you all.